everyone, and welcome to another video here on Sam's Crafty Castle. And today we are having some fun mixing some non-holiday stamps in with my holiday stamps and cards. I've had this idea in my head for like over a year now. I actually thought of this last Christmas and didn't finish it, and I'm really excited that I finally got to make this card this year. So I am using, this is a stamp, we're using all kinds of stamps from different places today. This stamp set is from Lawn Fawn, and I can't remember the name of it right this minute off the top of my head, but it will be in the video description below. And then I'm also using this magical, I forget the name of this one too, but it's like Magical Students or something like that at Kindred Stamps. It is a, Kindred Stamps does some really great pop culture and fandom stamps, and I always find really great things there, and this is one of them. I have a lot of friends who are into Harry Potter because I am in that age group, and I went through a pretty big Harry Potter phase myself, so, you know, it's appropriate, and I definitely would get some use out of this stamp if I'd ever busted out of my stash, and I finally did. This is the first time I've used it, so I kind of looked before I filmed the video. I don't see the stamp set on Kindred Stamps website anymore, but I'm gonna look again, so hopefully it'll be linked down below if I can find it. And I also, you're going to notice some extra characters on here, but because I didn't have enough room on the first paper that I stamped on to fit everyone, and I have another video coming up with another Kindred stamp set, so I just was like, I'm just going to pre-stamp them now while I'm stamping, and then they'll be ready to go for the next video. So sometimes I do that, especially because I generally will stamp on larger pieces of paper like that. And I was cutting everything out on my scanning cut, and I was like, well, the scanning cut is out. Let's just, you know, get some more things cut. Now I'm just going to color all of them in, and there is a lot of coloring in this video. So, yeah, there's a lot of coloring in this video. This is most of the video, actually. So I'm using my Copic markers for this, and I did stamp them all in, all of my little characters and images and things in Gina K Designs Obsidian Amalgam ink, which is my personal favorite ink to use when I'm coloring with Copics. I used to be a diehard Memento girly till Gina came out with her Amalgam ink line. The thing that I always liked about the Memento inks was that I also had very bad full set syndrome at the time, which has gotten a little bit better. But I liked the idea of there being like all these colors to get, and I thought I would use the colored inks a lot more for coloring with my markers than I ended up using them for. So I actually really like Gina's Amalgam line because it's all neutral colors, which is pretty much all I stamp in when I'm coloring things. If I, you know, there's really light colors to do some no line coloring with. There's every once in a while I like to mix it up and do like a brown. I almost kind of, I'm not gonna lie, wish I would have done like a brown or a tan on the fireplace on this. I think that would have looked really cool, but I didn't do that. So but I lose, it's hard to see. I haven't quite figured out the best zoom for coloring and things yet, but it's hard to see, but I do lose a lot of the lines anyway on the fireplace just because I do color it a little bit of a darker gray. So I would have lost them completely probably if I would have used a brown. Or they might have stood out more. I don't know. Now I kind of want to go stamp another fireplace and try it and see what happens. But it's almost the end of Christmas card season. I don't know if I have another fireplace card in me right now. So that's okay though. It's okay. What else was I going to say? So I'm just using 3 different grays on the fireplace because I wanted to do grays. We're going to it's not going to be a great Gryffindor common room, but we're kind of going for a Gryffindor common room at Christmas vibes. It's not, I could have added more things to it, but I didn't. So, and I'm not even a Gryffindor technically, but I'm more of a Hufflepuff girl myself, but still, we've got Harry, Ron, and Hermione on the card, so we're gonna pretend it's the Gryffindor common room. There are so many things I can think of that would have made this card even a little bit better, but like little decorations and things I could add. And part of that is because the day I'm recording this is Black Friday, and I was kind of on Lanvin's website, and I'm thinking about a couple die sets that they had up for sale today. And I'm trying to behave myself because I've been a little bit bad this Black Friday and bought quite a few things, but now I'm thinking about more possibilities with some of the die sets they have up for sale, and I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. But this always happens to me. This is the one thing with when I do videos is I always like make these cards and I get really excited because I'm actually really happy with how this one turns out. It doesn't look exactly like my vision originally when I was thinking about it, but it still comes out pretty cool. I wonder if it would have looked. Maybe I needed to make it a slimline card to make it come out more like my vision. No, because then the tree wouldn't work. But that's not the point. But I watch these videos back all the time, and then as I'm watching them back, I'm like, oh, I should have done this, or oh, I should have done that, or oh, I should have done this. And sometimes then I use that to like inspire another card later on. So hopefully that's what's gonna happen with all of these ideas I have now, is I will go and kind of and hold on to them. And yeah, speaking of holding on to card ideas, like I said, there's a lot of coloring in here. I'm doing most of the coloring I do on here is very basic. It's just 3 color blends with my markers. It's a gray for the biggest thing is the black, I guess, is I do when I do the black on like their vests and the robes for the friends who have robes on. I just use dark grays instead of just the black because the black like overpowers everything. I think the black Copic marker does. So if you use the dark grays, you can kind of get a little more variation and shadows and all that kind of stuff. But I'm one who, I take the Kit and Clowder classes and I take them seriously when I work on the images and stuff from the classes. And I do apply a lot of what I learn in the classes to my card making, but generally I simplify it quite a bit when I get to my card making. I don't really worry about necessarily like where the shadows fall and where the light source is coming from and all that kind of stuff. I worry more about the cast shadows side of things. So like if their hair is draping over a certain part of their shoulder, like I'm going to make that darker. If they are humans and they have bangs, I'm going to make their skin darker kind of under their bangs. Where their sleeves meet their arms, like all that kind of stuff I pay attention to when I do. Where is their armpit, because that makes a shadow on their shirt. Like that kind of stuff I'll pay attention to, and that's just where I put my darkest color, and then I just kind of work from there, and whatever happens. It's just a different approach where like I take a much more like artistic approach to my Kit and Clowder classes, I guess is the way to say it. That doesn't feel quite right, but I approach that more like working on like an art piece, which to be fair, all of my Kit and Clowder classes I print on 8.5 by 11 sheets, and like they're big images that I make because they're all digital stamps, so I can make them whatever size I want, and I treat them more like coloring books and coloring pages, and I just come at it from a different angle. But I use a lot of the things that I've learned in those classes to like technique wise with blending and all that kind of stuff, color combinations, all that kind of stuff, picking out markers. So I still use a lot of the things that I learn in those classes, but it's just I simplify it for when I do my card making. These images are so small, they don't always have a ton of space. And that would be my other suggestion if you're learning how to color. This is kind of what I did. I was thinking about this when I was editing this video, that it's been 10, 11, 12, like 13 or 14 years since I got my first Copic marker. So like I was sitting here watching me color all of these and being like, wow, I've been doing this coloring thing for a long time now. It doesn't feel like that long, but it definitely has been that long. And when I first started learning, I just watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos. I was 18 when my mom bought me my first Copic markers. Um, it was a kind of a, I'd just been in college for a semester, and there was a little local store near me who had them, and I basically begged her to go, and she was like, okay, as a little present for finishing your first semester at college, we'll go and you can pick out 3. I think I convinced you, I was only supposed to get 3. I was going to be allowed to get 1 color blend. I think I convinced her to get me 9. um, because I bought a doggy stamp while I was at the store as well. And I was like, well, I have to color the dog, but pink is my favorite color, so I also need the pink blend. So yeah, it's really funny. And the funny thing is now, like much, much later, I actually ended up working at, not at that store, but I ended up working somewhere else kind of in the industry, and ended up working with the lady who sold me my first Copic markers, and I actually still work with her now, and I just think that's really cool. um, like once we figured it out, all of a sudden we were like, wait a minute, hold on, and then we think it's really funny, I think. But it was a little full circle moment, and I think it's really cool. So, yeah. Where was I going? Oh, yeah. Me learning how to color. That was the whole point of the story. So, I started out, like, just watching YouTube videos a lot of people coloring. And this was kind of around when Copics were first starting to get really popular. So, like, there was a lot of YouTube tutorials and stuff like that. And I was really into, like, people stamps and kid stamps at the time, like La La Land Crafts. They were always kind of my go-to for a really, really long time, and I kind of miss them. I feel like there might be a chance that we revisit some of those. I have some of their digi stamps. I don't have a ton of their regular stamps anymore, but I do have some of their digi stamps. We need to print some, and we need to play. But yeah, so I did a lot of just watching YouTube tutorials and things like that at the beginning, and then a lot of just experimenting. I'm a very hands-on learner with stuff, and it doesn't really mean anything unless I do it. So it's a lot of like playing and exploring and going, oh, that worked, or oh no, that didn't work. And then I took a few classes here and there of different things, and learning, because some people will color light to dark, some people will color dark to light. I don't really know if there's an official version. I never got Copic certified or anything like that, so I don't know if there's an official way you're supposed to do it. Maybe someone can let us know in the comments down below if you happen to know. But to me, it comes down to personal preference. I struggle with light to dark. I took a class that taught me how to color light to dark, and I think that might be the Copic certified way, because I think the teacher was Copic certified. But I hated it. My brain just could not work that way. But coloring dark to light, my brain likes a whole lot. And we kind of talked about this a little bit with some of the Kender's card challenge videos, and measuring things out, and how using directional papers and stuff like that, and how my brain just doesn't work in a way that lets me use directional patterns for that challenge, because my brain just can't process the right way to do it. And kind of the same thing with Copic markers. My brain just can't process how to color light to dark, so I have to color dark to light. And to me, that's easier, but I also know a lot of people who are the exact opposite. So you just kind of got to figure out what works best for you and what works for your brain, and that's okay. Everyone's brains are different, and that's, you just got to figure it out and what works best for you. So I do everything dark to light. I have occasionally tried to go the other way just to push myself, and I can't do it. I can't, and that's okay. That's all right. I'm trying to kind of stall till we get to Hermione's hair, because I really want to talk about how I did her hair. I wish I would have done it a little more curly when we get there, but that's okay. And then after a lot of YouTube videos, a couple in-person classes, I ended up finding out about Kit & Clowder, and decided to give that a try. In 2019 is when I started. I recently ended my subscription, but let me just say, it wasn't because of anything bad, I guess. I just had such a backlog of classes that I was getting overwhelmed by all of the ones I wanted to do. And even though, yes, there's lifetime access, I was like, I'm just going to continuously get overwhelmed. So I took a little bit of a break to try and get caught up. I'm still not even close to caught up. I'm still doing ones from 2019. So, it's just, it's just a me thing. In terms of I was getting overwhelmed by how many I had. So, but I learned something new in every single one, and I think it's really fun. And that's been a big thing for me with colored pencils. I used to not enjoy working with, that sounds dramatic. I don't think it was that bad, but colored pencils used to not be my medium of choice. I used to be a marker girl through and through, and I took a few in-person colored pencil classes, and I took a few that I really liked those. That's basically it. And then I decided that I didn't not like them as much as I thought. I just didn't know how to use them, kind of thing. And then when I got the Kit and Clouder stuff, I signed up for the one that has the markers and pencils class. And I've gotten so much more confident with my pencils that a lot of times now I find myself reaching for my pencils more than I find myself reaching for my markers. And there are ways that you can use both together. Oh, hold on. Hermione hair break. Hermione's hair is purple. I don't know if you caught that. That was a purple marker. And it's kind of scary when you are mixing in weird colors. Like, is her hair going to be all purple? It's not. It's going to be blondie brown, like a dirty blondish color. And because the yellows that I'm using will, mix with the purple, and you get this kind of dirty blondie color. Don't be afraid of your colors. That's the whole lesson in Hermione's hair. Don't be afraid of your colors. You can use weird colors to make shadows. You can use blues and purples and grays and whatever, and then come in with browns and yellows and all that kind of stuff and make really cool things happen. So just don't be afraid to, be adventurous and work in a color that scares you. And speaking of that, in kind of getting back on the topic of me learning to color with markers, one thing is that I do a lot, and you can find this on my Pinterest page, which is linked in the description down below, that I look up color combinations on Pinterest all the time. I am not always the most creative when it comes to picking color combinations. I have my favorites, and I tend to stay there, which is fine. That's totally fair. But it is also fun to branch out, and especially when it comes to hair and clothes and things. I have a lot of, in skin colors, I have a lot of combinations saved on my Pinterest page that I reference all the time because it makes it easier for me, and that's not a bad thing either. So check out Pinterest. If you struggle with color combinations, definitely check out Pinterest because there's a lot of good stuff there. Okay, moving on to the next thing now that the coloring is over. I cut out this Christmas tree die from Lawn Fawn, and I cut it out in green. I cut out the solid piece in green, the little ornamenty piece in black, and a bunch of other colors actually too, just to have around. Because we're going to do some paper piecing. So I also cut the little outliney bit, I guess, in a gold sparkle, a red sparkly, and a kind of matte gold. But I lost all the matte gold pieces. Sorry, I needed a drink. So I don't know where they went. But I did, at one point, cut it out in a matte gold. And we're going to do some paper piecing with that in a moment. But first, we're going to make our background. And you're going to see a second fireplace there. I originally thought I was going to end up doing some masking with the fireplace, and totally never did that. So I have it stamped on masking paper, and I never used it. And again, on changing our mind, I have this brick wall stencil from Gina K Designs, and that's what I'm going to use to make sort of our tower background. And I was going to stencil it on some white cardstock, but ended up looking at it and kind of lining up the stencil and looking at some of the ink colors I had pulled out and went, it might be better if I actually start with a gray background first and then kind of add the bricky texture on top, if you will. So I grabbed, I don't know what color this is. I don't know where that cardstock is from. I think it might be from Michaels. I think it might have been just a, pack I had gotten at Michael's at one point, of a bunch of different gray colors that I've been trying to use up for like, it feels like 10 years. But actually, you know what? I take that back. It may have been like 10 years that I've had that. But still, anyway, we're trying to use it up because it's not great paper. And I'm just going to use that. And then it'll kind of make those lines in between the bricks gray. So then, like, that's kind of what I wish I would have done with the fireplace to, but it worked out in the end. It's all good. The fireplace still looks really good. The one thing is, it definitely took more ink. Either that or I should have gone with a darker color, because I went with the lighter color gray, and maybe I should have went with a darker color gray. Also, I should have used a new sticky mat, but I don't have a new one. I need to order some. I know I just said I was done Black Friday shopping, but that might be the exception. I might need to pick up some of those. So, yeah. A lot of mine are they're getting older and they're starting to lose their stick a little bit. So, it might be time to pick up some new ones, as you can see, because the stencil keeps moving. But luckily, this stencil's pretty blocky, I guess, for lack of a better word. And because it's so blocky, I can just, it's really easy to get it relined up. And then we get to do this part. So the stencil doesn't go all the way across the A2 panel, but because it's so blocky, I can just shift the stencil over and finish the pattern for those couple of rows that don't go quite all the way across. So it's really easy to do the whole thing. I could have used pixie spray on here too, but I actually got rid of my pixie spray because, I don't know, for me, pixie spray is just not the vibe. So I used it, I tried it, and it just wasn't my thing. So that's okay. Now we gotta figure out a layout. This took me a lot longer, and this is when I was starting to realize that my vision of what I originally thought I was gonna get is kind of different than what I actually am liking now that I have everything in front of me. I was originally going to kind of like orange and yellowy inside of the fireplace to make it glowy, but then I just got really concerned that if I put the kids in front of the fireplace that it would be too warm. Which, I mean, they're paper. It really wouldn't matter, but I just was like, yeah, no, I can't do that. And then I was going to use the twins. This is me trying to figure out if I want to do a glow behind Hermione there, but then I just decided that I didn't. You wouldn't see enough of it anyway to make it worth it, so, because the fireplace is so hidden behind them. Also, I was kind of worried that, like, the tree would burn down, but like I said, it's not a real fire, so I shouldn't have really been concerned about that, but I was, so, brains are weird sometimes, and sometimes I get hung up on weird things, and that's okay. So, I'm just going to glue everything together and with some Connect glue. Lots of liquid glue. And look at me using my tweezers, guys. I never use my tweezers. I should. I feel like I'm such a Gina K girly that I should get the Gina K ones, but I have not done that yet. But I just don't use them enough. So I just have these pink ones that I got years ago and don't use. And now I'm just using all of the little pieces from the other sparkly trees that I cut out to fill in the ornaments and the star and the trunk. I cut one out in the matte gold to use for the trunk of the tree because I didn't really want that to be shiny, sparkly craziness, because it's like the tree trunk. It's not, I just didn't want that. But it ended up, I couldn't find it. I don't know where the matte gold tree trunk went. I don't know if I accidentally threw it out or what. I never found it. So it gets a sparkly gold one instead, and that's okay. But obviously we had to go with the red and gold because we're pretending it's the Gryffindor common room. So red and gold is kind of their thing, and that's why I'm like, I wish I would have put like a red and gold garland on the fireplace or like something up on the top of the wall that I made, or I kind of really wish I would have put a candle or something on the mantle too, and added a little bit more sort of decoration to the background. But I think it's okay, because that's not really like the focal point anyway. So I think it's okay. This is me trying to find the stupid trunk that I can't find. And then I'm deciding that I'm just going to use the gold one, because I can see the gold one. I know where the gold sparkly one is. but I can't find the not gold one. See, look, I'm not giving it up. I'm like, where the heck is it? I still don't know. I think I threw it out. I think I saved the wrong piece and I threw it out. But it happens. It's all good. And the sparkly one still looks good. And you're not even going to see it in a minute anyway, because I'm going to put the kids in front of it. So, there we go. There's Hermione. Well, I guess you do still see it. Never mind. Haha, forgot what my card looked like. And now we're going to do the greeting. I have this magical die. I was trying to figure out, like, what to do for a greeting on here. And that would be on theme. And I remembered I have this magical die. And I have, I have a lot of Christmas dies. And I went, it should say, have a magical Christmas. That would be so cute. So, and now I want to make Disney cards that say have a magical Christmas on them, too. But yeah. So it's going to say have a magical Christmas. And there's our little scene, all completed. And I'm going to stamp a little, I think this is out of a Lawn Fawn set. I have no idea which one it's out of. I tend to pull a lot of little greetings out of my Lawn Fawn sets. But it says have a. And I was like, perfect. Because I wanted to stamp the have a. And I was like, I don't know if I have a stamp that says that. And I went, you know what? Lawn Fawn most definitely will have one for me. And they did. They did not disappoint me. And now we're going to glue it. I just put it on a black layer because it just adds a little something, just a really, really thin little mat to it. Just makes it stand out a little bit. I'm going to put it on a red card base, so in a little while here. And now we're going to die cut Magical and Christmas so that it can go on the card. I lost the eye for the magical. I don't know where it went. I was really trying to keep track of it, and it just went poof. So I end up drawing that back on in a second. And then this is me going, ooh, wait, now that I actually have the die cut versions of these, I don't like the layout I had intended. It looks kind of funky. So then I had to try to figure out how to make it work now. Because I thought I liked it, and then I didn't. So there you go. That happens sometimes. Okay, I have a question for you guys. So there's been a thing that's been happening a lot that I've noticed that's coming out in our lovely little crafting industry. And a lot of places are coming out with like card planner sketchbooks where you can sort of draw out card sketches and stuff. And I, like I said, I've had this card sitting in my brain for like a year. And I have the one that from Trinity Stamps, and I'm debating there's another one that just came out from Pocono Pam, who's an influencer that I follow. And I am debating getting hers too and like comparing them. I already think I'm going to like the Trinity Stamps ones better. I have it. I haven't used it yet, but I have it. And oh gosh, the video's over. Okay, never mind. But tell me, do you guys think those are useful or helpful? I'm just curious. I have no plans to like launch one of my own or anything like that, but I'm just curious what people think about them. And I do think I'm going to do a video on them like later on, like sometime in January, but whatever. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below, and I'll see you again soon. Have a crafty day.